Welcome to Geezers Playhouse, the podcast where we take a trip down memory lane and laugh at the twists and turns along the way. My co-host Rufus, how you doing today, Rufus?
Hello, Happy New Year, AWOL.
Same to you. Glad to be back in this first day of the new year. Today we're diving into the kind of vacations that make you wish you stayed at home. That's right, the vacation nightmare stories. So, Rufus, do you have any good episodes, or do you have any times when you went out on a family vacation and didn't quite go as planned?
Yeah. We always talk about, how things were when we were kids compared to now. I mean, it's like, when we were kids, like a family vacation horror story was like, it was like almost something supernatural, where today it's like, you get somebody grumbling and bitching about they ran out of all you can eat shrimp at the buffet. So that's like the whole trip is ruined.
Yeah, absolutely. I've had some vacations. I had two in particular that were really bad. One time we were down in Disney World and I was taking the kids. They were, young at the time. And one of the things we love to do is go to the water parks, because they have this big water wall thing, right? You hear like boom. And then like 2 minutes later, the wave comes ripping out. And we really enjoyed it. It's kind of exciting. You're
river
hearing
country thing?
Kind of like river country. So there's two of them, right? And the second one is the one that we were out. I forgot what it was called, Frosty Island or something like that. Anyway, we're in the wave pool and, there's a lot of different people from a lot of different places there with us, like a lot of tourists from different corners of the globe. We're in there. It's like basically a hot bacteria broth.
Yeah, you're just like floating around.
And you're in there with people from, that just got off the plane from another corner of the globe, bringing their particular germs, which you're not ready for. And anyway, my son, the next morning we're going back and my son turns out to be horribly sick, right? We're in the hotel room. He's vomiting and so forth. I'm like, boy, I hope he's going to make it home on the plane. And so I'm like cleaning up his vomit, as you have to do when you're a parent, one of the less glorious jobs. And I guess I had touched it, and I didn't got in my system. By the time we get home, the next day, everybody is vomiting and going poo-poo, machines. I remember at one point I'm in the hallway. It's the middle of the night, 3 a.m. And I hear vomit in one kid's room, vomit in the other kid's room, vomit coming out of the mat. I'm like, how am I supposed to cope with this? I'm sick myself. You know what I mean?
Truly,
it was like the vomitorium. It was just the most disgusting thing, this cacophony of humans belching and relieving sounds. And it was so I guess the moral of that story is watch out for germs when you're on vacation, right?
Yeah, actually, I never heard any Disney horror stories. I remember one of the times when we went down there, we used to go down there yearly when my kid Johan was a little munchkin, because you just gotta. And it was also, we would do it because we'd go down there with my father. So this was after my father had his bypass, and you kind of knew that time was dwindling. So it was let's just build up as many memories, get him a good storehouse of memories before grandpa's gone.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it was just kind of funny because we're walking in, we were staying, I forgot which one, we weren't at the main thing or one of the it was still Disney property, but one of the satellite resorts. And we're walking in and there's some lady, and again, this is how you can tell the difference between some of the European females and the American females. I know I'm generalizing, but it just seems because even some of my friends that were in Europe, they're I didn't see a single fat person the entire, a morbidly obese person the entire time I was in Europe. And then you come back and you're walking across JFK and it's you're going amongst the walruses on the beach. But we're walking in, and there is some smoking hot female in front of us wearing a thong, but she has the what do you call the beach robe or whatever. So, but you can still see what's going on underneath. And I'm walking with my wife and kid, trying to act like nothing's happening. And just in the back of my mind, they're they're right. This is the happiest place on earth. But oddly enough, you're talking about just vacation mistakes and mishaps. My family being here is actually the result of a vacation mishap, because when my great grandmother came over from Poland, it was supposed to be a vacation. This is around like 1913, 1914, and you all know what happened in Europe in like 1913, 1914.
Yeah, bad times.
World War I broke out, and she was like, well, I think I'm going to stay put for the duration. And somehow the duration just ended up. The
duration became the rest of your life.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's a nightmare. You ended up being an American basically as a vacation nightmare star.
Well, or you could have stayed in Poland into 1939, and then you would have had a whole nother set of circumstances on your hands.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Some of our vacation horror stories. I remember me and my brother, or my brother and I, if you have to be grammatically correct about it.
Yeah.
We used to take road trips, and this was the first time. I think I might have told you this story. I don't know if it was on camera or not. This is the first time I went to Canada. We were going to, we went upstate. We went to House Cavern. Then we went to Niagara Falls. And then we took this road through Canada down to Dearborn because we were going to go to the Henry Ford Museum. And
nice.
My brother's got his brand new car. And, we're up in Canada and I'm gassing up. And I see the thing, gas, 49 cents. And I've had friends that have gone to other countries and say that gas is cheaper in some other countries. This is like when gas was like 85 cents a gallon here. So I'm like, 49 cents. I'm like, my brother goes to the bathroom. He gets himself a bag of chips. He comes back and he's like, what are you doing? I'm like, 49 cents. You might as well gas up. He's like, that's a liter. You're paying $1 altogether. I'm like, chunk. Bump it up to the next block. And it's like, so then later on, a couple hours later, first time my brother lets me drive his new car, we're on this one road going through Canada. It's in the middle of nowhere. It's like, the old 3-lane highway, like where you have traffic one way, traffic the other way, and a common passing lane in the middle. I mean, we're in the middle of friggin' nowhere, dead straight away. My brother starts nodding off, pass a sign, speed limit 100. I'm like, oh, baby. And it's my brother's layout. My brother starts waking up. He's like, how fast do you go? And I'm like, nothing to worry about. I'm not even doing 95 yet. And he's like, what are you talking about? He's like, the speed limit's 100. He's like, that's kilometers. I'm like,
Oh, jeez. But then whipping around. That's why you need a broad, right?
Yeah, but anyway, that's not the horror story. The next road trip we took, my brother had a Saab, and the Saab broke down in the middle of the Natchez Trace Parkway. We were driving down to New Orleans. Thing craps out. I think we were in Tennessee, or we might have been in Louisiana at that point. And, I'm a car guy, and my brother's like, well, what do you think's wrong with this? I'm like, how the hell do I know? It's with computers, could be anything. So, we're in the middle of nowhere. And I said to Mike, well, because we're in the Smoky Mountains. So I said, well, let's just, we're not going to do, sun's starting to go down. I'm like, well, staying here ain't going to do us any good. Let's just get the thing rolling. We'll go, we'll use gravity and find out what happens. So car finally stops rolling. We're still in the middle of nowhere, but there's like some trailer, so you go up there, you knock on the door, and it's like, you're in an episode of Moonshiners practically. The guy calls one of his buddies who has a tow service. And if you've ever seen Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, that's kind of what it was like. The husband and wife tow team show up. It's almost like we must
12 kids in the back.
We must have interrupted their KKK meeting or something, because they're driving along, swapping I had every other word out of this guy's mouth. It's like the N word. Wow, and it's like, being from New York, again, back in the 80s, before it really became taboo, we used to hear it enough. I mean, it wasn't a regular, but it's like, no stranger to racism being from New York at the time. But I mean, this guy, I mean, him and his wife just totally over the top. And it's like, like, holy hell.
What's with the irrational fear?
It's like, yeah. Here's the two New York boys with the sob, It's like,
Yeah, exactly. Real popular down there, right? You're lucky you didn't get a ticket to boot.
Yeah, thankfully there was actually a sob dealer down there because I also had visions of like with, Chevy Chase and Vacation. Well, how much is the bill? How much you got?
Yeah, exactly right. Empty out those pockets, turn them outside. I had another one where I was in actually California, and we had driven up and down the coast. We rented this Ford Mustang, and I don't know if you know about Ford Mustangs, but they're very heavy in the front. They're very light
traction in the back. One of my friends has one. He will not drive the thing. He puts it in the garage right before Thanksgiving, and that thing does not come out until like mid-May because it has no handle. Feather the gas and you're fishtailing.
Yeah, it's such poor design, right? Just American design at its worst. And so anyway, it was a convertible, and like we were having a good time. We're driving up A1A, and it's like, look at this, the coast, blah blah blah, the
Coast
sea,
Highway,
the Pacific Coast, A1A, Pacific Coast Highway.
Oh, holy hell, yeah, Jesus Christ, scary road.
Like you got to be careful.
Your tire, it's like 6 inches, and you're looking down. It's like a cliff.
Yeah, you got to be really careful. Like 1 second, and you're over the cliff.
Right.
Well, here I am with my Mustang.
This is like, when his driving was starting to like slip a little bit, you feel the tire like blah, 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 blah. Then to him, it's like a big fucking joke. I almost lost it. I'm like, oh shit.
So we're on A1A, and we go up to wine country, spend 2 weeks there, and we're heading back. It's getting a little like, okay, enough with the beautiful scenery, We're all done with it, So we go over to like 101 or whatever, which is like the main highway, just straight. There's no twists, turns. You can go, a reasonable speed. So we're cooking there, right? And we're like, should we put the top up? I don't know. So we don't do it. And we're cooking down the highway back towards Los Angeles. And I'm like playing with the radio or whatever. I look up and there's these two little brown eyes of a dog in front of me, like on the highway, like looking at me like, oh my God, I'm going to die. And like, my natural reaction is like, hit the brake, And so I go start fishtailing on this highway. We go backwards up on an embankment and bang, you know what I mean? So I'm hanging upside down in my Ford Mustang, and like, I'm like, and Shanti, thankfully she has a very short body, long legs and a short body. So she didn't like bang her head up as I did. This trucker stops, this Mexican beautiful families, like giving me the last rites as my head's flapping around. And, it was just like, 2 days in a hospital in Santa Maria. And then, on the way back to the plane, they're like, the car company's like, do you want another Mustang? We're like, no, we'll take a Volvo, thanks. Like fucking giant station wagon. We get to the airport. Like I have this giant bandage on my head that's like tied at the top. So I look like I'm either, like a human condom or some kind of religious fanatic or something. And like this guy gets on the plane and sits next to me and he goes, I'm glad I'm on this plane. You look like you had all the bad luck anybody could have so I know I'm going to arrive safely, So yeah, that was a fun trip, coming back with medical bills.
That beats the towing team, that's for sure.
Man, oh man, I'll tell you. Yeah, so.
I mean, it's not so much a vacation or horror story, but I get you talking about the highways and stuff. I remember this was the first, when we went down to Florida, the Christmas after my father died. And there was usually we take the auto train, but there was some issue with the train. There was like a big storm. So it's like the train coming up was running so late that it wasn't even in Virginia yet where they could clean it up and turn it around. Yeah. My wife was like, we'll just drive.
Yeah, right. Do you like taking the train?
What?
I mean, is it a fun thing? Do you like taking like the auto train in Florida? Is it a fun experience?
I'm dying breed. It's like, I get so many people. It's like, oh, wow, you take the train to California. It takes like 3 days and blah, 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 blah. And you're out. He said, yeah, well, the train is part of the vacation. It's like,
area.
Yeah, it's like the old Cunard thing where half the fun is getting there. Yeah, as we tell these horrific stories. Yeah.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
But there's one interstate in Florida. I don't know if you've been on it. I-75. It's the interstate that goes up the Gulf Coast.
Mm-mm.
The speed limit on that road is 75 now. And they wonder why, like, fatalities are increasing exponentially.
All right. Yeah.
And so it's at night. I just want to, we finally make it into Florida, and it's like, the condo in Sanibel, it's like within reach. It's late, but it's within reach. I just want to get there. So Shirley and Johan, they fall asleep in the back. Yeah. So, and I'm just like, it's like, I just want to get there. And I'm pushing 90 and people are still passing me.
Yeah, right. 120, right? Get out of the way.
Exactly. It's like, I'm in the middle lane. I'm pushing 90. Yeah. And these like high beams in back of me. I move over and there's some goober in a pickup truck pulling a speedboat, goes cruising by me. And it's at night too. It's not like it's in the middle of the afternoon where you have like, 50-mile visibility.
Yeah, right. Just go around, dude.
Yeah, I remember there was one time, family vacation story when I was a kid. This was the first time my brother was actually allowed to drive on a family vacation. I felt bad for him too, because it was just great timing. We were in the Wagon Queen family truckster. The one time my father bought a car that wasn't a Ford. He's always had luck with Fords. Buys his first Chevy. So we're in the Chevy wagon, clipping down I-95 or whatever. We're in North Carolina, and all of a sudden, I'm in like the way back, so I wasn't, and all of a sudden, my mother says, "Why is every light on? Why is the dashboard lit up?" Because my brother didn't notice. Every light on the dashboard was like lit up. Yeah,
oh boy,
pulled over.
Borrowed time.
Yeah, pull over. Yeah, again, we're like, middle of North Carolina, whatever. And father pops open the hood. Yeah. And like I was saying in the other one, you hear the Lord shit, and it's party time, It's like, I jump out of the way back. I go like running up to the front. My mother opens the door to like block me, and it's like, so we were, and I just thought it was hilarious because, we broke down right by one of those south of the border billboards that said, next time take the train.
Yeah, exactly. There you go.
I'm dying to like, hey, Dad, can you just stand in for you now? But it's like, yes. And the car was, actually laid up. We were stranded in North Carolina for about a week. Cause what happened was, there was actually a recall on it. I know I'm boring the viewers, but, the oil pump died. And you know what? You're relatively mechanically inclined. You know what happens when the oil pump dies?
No oil.
No oil. You know what happens when a big V8 gets no oil? Yeah. So we were stranded there for about a week while it's like, I think it was like Ram Bay. I think that was the town. And then, we get the car. Yeah, they put a new engine, the Chevy dealer down there puts a new engine in the thing or whatever. And then we're on our merry way. Then in the middle of Georgia, the air conditioner craps out because I don't know what was that with that. Pull into the local service station, and it's the guy with the Freon can. Whole side of his face is like one big scar, and he's like recharging on the air conditioner with a cigarette hanging out of his mouth. It's like, tried this before, huh? Yeah.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Baboom. Man,
it was a fun trip.
Yeah. I mean, you remember being like a little kid in the back seat, kind of like a tiny prisoner as your parents kind of flew down 95 heading to Florida?
Yeah, I didn't really mind. I really didn't mind being in the way back of the station wagon. I didn't really mind being in the way back of the wagon that much because, it's kind of like your own little country back there.
Totally. But you had siblings, right? Like, did you have to do the thing where like that's your half of the back seat and that's my half of the back seat?
It's funny. I still remember the general order. In all the like we were talking about last time with like, division of labor among the sexes and how like moms didn't work. Did your mother ever drive when you were on vacation, or was that like strictly your father's domain?
Primarily my dad's. I would say it's sort of, maybe if she was going out to get a slice of pizza or a pie or something for the family, but driving down, it was usually my dad. But that's as you get older, man, your back hurts and you got to swap it off and stuff.
Yeah, because it was just funny because the way my father was, like, my mother would reach over to like, change the radio or whatever. And he'd be like, it's like, because it's like the way the dashboards used to go, like would curve down. Remember? And it's like, the radio. And he's like, that's my domain, it's like,
if I'm driving.
Part of the driver controls, It's like,
yeah.
And then,
that's for sure, man.
It was like a mix that, you could either sit, so the back seat was my sister behind my father who was driving, and my brother between my mother that was riding shotgun. And then sometimes if my grandmother came, then it was like, my brother would have to be in the middle riding on the bump. And then,
yeah, right. There was definitely spatial issues there, When I remember going down to New Orleans with one of our colleagues, it was a business trip. And, we partied that pretty hard the night before. I had to get up at like 5 a.m. and go on the plane. And we had just drank so much. These guys are like, there's no way that I'm going to be able to make that flight. And I don't know how I did it. I was like still drunk on the plane.
If you're talking about who I think
let this end, just let it be over.
If you're talking about who I think you're talking about, is this the cell phone guy?
Count Von, yes.
Yeah. Okay. Has any meeting with him ever remained sober?
No, not really. It's come to think of it, yeah.
And there's another vacation horror story. It's called My Honeymoon. No.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Well, actually, that started off kind of rocky too, because I think it was on the Jersey Turnpike or on I-95, because it's like, we had to drive from Long Island because we took the auto train down, and there's some kind of like oil truck or something flipped on 95, and the traffic was backed up. And then it literally took us to get the last mile to the train. It took us like a half an hour. It was one of those deals where just dead stop, get out of the car, wander around, go up the hill on the side of the embankment, kind of like look around, see what's going on. And we got there. We pull in. We were the absolute last people to get on the train. They already stopped taking passes. The train was like locked up. They were getting ready to close the last car carrier. And they see us pull in, and it's like, oh, and they had us marked as no-shows. They already gave our bedroom away. So we get on the train, and then it's like, the conductor and the porter, they got to go kicking somebody out, and they're all pissed off. Well, I'm sorry, I ruined your trip by making it.
Yeah, by ruining my trip.
Right.
Yeah, right, exactly. I'll tell you, I've been hearing a lot of the stuff in the news. I would never go on a boat cruise, I don't think, because I just heard this story of this woman. She had a stroke somewhere, like in the island that they were visiting. And the boat just took off without her. They're like, go to the travel agency, get yourself back. Like, they have whatever rights they want in the high seas. Like, there's no authority other than the cruise line, If they want to leave you behind, they're going to leave you behind.
Yeah. Actually, going transatlantic on, because there's actually a difference between an ocean liner and a cruise ship. And it has to do, it's technically, it has to do with the hull design, because like going transatlantic, the swells and just the way it completely different than just, cruising around like, Puerto Rico or whatever, off the continental shelf, and it's just all kind of low, calm water. But I always kind of wanted to go transatlantic, and it just seems like some of the deals aren't really that bad, because I know for our 25th anniversary, I was looking into, good thing I never did it, taking a transatlantic, trip with Shirley. And I was like scoping out the prices, and I don't know. Now, I don't fly. The one and only time I flew was like 5 years ago when I got the call that my father was dying, and like, last rites, get home ASAP. So that I flew. Yeah. And then, and oddly enough, it didn't impress me. I really wasn't that impressed with flying. It was just people, you won't hear anything. You won't. It's just like, it's almost like me just sitting here now talking to you, and it's like, and it was funny because in the middle of the flight, I got up because I had to go to the bathroom. I'm walking to the back of the plane. I'm looking at everybody. It's like there wasn't one person on that plane that looked like they really wanted to be on that plane.
Of course not. It's convenience. It's absolutely about speed, getting there and all that good stuff, Yeah,
because I was looking, and if I wanted to take the Queen Mary over, if you do it like off season, you could cross for about $1,200 each way. Holland America is a little cheaper because they don't have like that whole Cunard allure and the Queen Mary allure. You could do it. They were having, Royal Caribbean was having some kind of anniversary sale where it was like $800 each way to go. Which doesn't really, again, I don't know what it costs to fly to like England, but when you think about it, like $8 to $1,200, it's not really that bad considering they're like meeting you and giving you a place to stay for a week.
And it's an experience unto itself, You know what I really want to do is these river cruises. Like you go to Germany and you kind of float down the river. Super peaceful. I guess it's being an old person now or whatever. That appeals to me. Like I have a little room with a window and I can watch the world float by, have good food and chat up some people and maybe even get off and visit a little town or something. And that's it. That's the whole vacation. Totally mellow, totally calm.
We'll do it this summer. We'll do like a video log and write it off.
Or something. Up the Rhine.
Right. Go over to Germany. We talk to some of my contacts over there. I could write it off as a business expense. You can justify it.
Yes, exactly.
Well, we talked Christmas. Good. It's not done.
That's right. Exactly. We went around Christmas. So we need to go to Oktoberfest, right? I mean, that would be a fun thing. I mean, I guess my drinking days are kind of behind me, but it seems like it'd be a fun and joyous experience.
Thing about, the thing about it, it's funny too, because it's like all the guys I know in Germany will not go to Oktoberfest.
Too touristy?
Because exactly, they hate, I shouldn't say they hate. It's just compared to the Germans.
Drinking on a Thursday or something?
Every time you see an American over there, they're drunk.
I'm sure, like not just drunk, immaculately drunk.
And which is kind of weird, for like a country, you're probably going to edit it out, for a country that invaded half of Europe, it's like they still have some kind of manners and self-decency and dignity, it's like, and it was just funny because one of the guys I deal with, this was the guy I told you about, the big, tall, monster East German guy. And his village it's very old fashioned, and his actual house is, I forgot what they call it, like that timber frame. It's almost like when you go to Disney, like the Pinocchio village, where it's like it has the beams with like the white stuff in between. That's his house. Yeah. And he's sitting there doing some paperwork or whatever, and he hears something tapping on the side of his house. And he kind of like looks out the window and there's like an American and he's like, scraping and he's like knocking the hat on the guy's head. And he's like saying to his wife, "Hey, it's real."
Oh my God. Are you serious? Oh my God.
I was like thinking, because it's just such a quaint, picturesque little town, I guess.
It's real.
The American mindset,
and then he gets on his trike with his 300 pounds and pulls away. Yeah. Unreal, man. I'll tell you. That's crazy. Yeah, it makes you want to get a Canada hat, when you travel.
I don't again, it's off topic or whatever, but the guy in Germany, he's always like badgering me. Come, be my partner. I set you up. Don't worry. I help you with paperwork. I help you with that. Come. It's that thing where it's like, it's, I'm not going to get political, but and not even politically, but I mean, you just look at, I'm going to sound like just some far right old fart or whatever, but you just look the direction that like we're kind of heading.
Yeah, it's
like all of a sudden it's like, Germany doesn't look half bad. And certain people that and you're going to know who I'm talking about on SB, when I would mention Germany, if you want to move to a nanny state and be taxed to death, it's kind of thing where, as I get older, I really wouldn't mind having somebody looking out for me because it's like, sure as hell don't happen around here.
Yeah. No, you cannot have a compassionate state. Otherwise, these people it's communism, right?
It's like, oh, well, it's like,
give me my stimulus check. Thanks for tuning into this episode on family vacation nightmares. Rufus, any parting thoughts on whether family and vacations are good or you should just quit them altogether or what? Just stop them wholesale? Or do you take the chance?
I think it's an integral part of the whole family experience. Again, good or bad, it's just all about making the memories. I remember saying to my father once, it's like when I became the family man and started doing some of these vacations, I would say to my father, it's like, Jesus Christ, I don't know how you did it. It's like, not only did you go take your wife and they said, 3 kids. It's like, you took your mother-in-law and your father-in-law who were going through a divorce at the time and they were always fighting and all. I said, they got to give you some kind of an award, my old man, he had a Purple Heart.
I'll tell you, it's not easy, but it's even if it goes wrong, it kind of puts you, stress is part of life, right? So, and your kids or whatever, they're going to have to deal with that. And so it's not such a bad thing. You got to just roll the dice. If 80% of your vacations end up great, I think you did.
Yeah, it's like when my wife's car died and we were stranded in Disney for like almost a week. It's like, I couldn't think of a better place, and she's cramped about it.
Yeah,
and I'm like, exactly. I can't think of a better place to be stranded.
Yeah. Yeah, right. Nothing but restaurants and theme parks. As far
would
as
you rather be stranded there? Or would you rather be stranded with me and my brother in like the middle of the Smoky Mountains with the, cake and cake? Oh.
Yeah, right. Exactly. With the dueling banjos playing constantly. All right. Well, thanks for another great episode and on to the next one.
So we'll see you again.